everyone for joining. You're in the right place if you are here for the AI Shakeup, where we'll talk about how AI is impacting search. I'm really excited about this one. We've got Ryan from BizIQ, who's been a client turned golf buddy, and in this sense, a mentor when it comes to how to show up in the world of AI. So really excited to kick this one off. For those of you that are joining that don't know who we are TaxHack. We focus on serving small businesses, giving Fortune 500 strategy to businesses of all sizes. And historically, that's meant a lot about tax, a lot about finance. A lot of our clients have asked for more. They're wondering what our other clients are doing in the realm of operations, in the realm of marketing. And that's where we're really excited to host a webinar with Ryan Russell. So let's go to the next slide and kick off who we're all listening to here. I'm Miguel, founder and CEO of TaxHack. I have the honor of leading a small team serving businesses just like yours. And the cool thing about what I do is I get to work with businesses who are doing much cooler things. And with that, I want to have Ryan introduce yourself as we kick this off.
Thank you, Miguel. Appreciate it. I love being here today and connecting and collaborating with like minds. We're moving and grooving and helping a lot of small businesses and medium-sized businesses as well. Um, as you said, my name is Ryan Russell, founder and CEO of BizIQ. We help small businesses grow online, and that can be everything from website development to SEO to content generation and ads even. But particularly, we like to focus on the small business or local community. Local SEO is really our mainstay.
Yeah. And to kind of kick off the topic, I want to share kind of a quick personal anecdote of what we've seen. Um, and the reason that we're doing this is we went from something like 88,000 uniques on our blogs to down to like 3,000 uniques. And we're trying to figure out like what the heck has happened. And we kind of come to find out a lot of the times now when people are asking tax questions, they're getting these AI summaries, which sometimes hide the source. So people aren't jumping into our website the way they used to because our blog is now summarized along with others. So, I've come from a place like, what the heck? Where do we go from here? What's happening? So I'm really excited to have you on, Ryan, and kind of explain some of the magician sorcery that's going on right now. And I'm excited too to share that with our audience to bring some of that knowledge down. So the goal of this conversation is to talk about actionable insights. So really excited on a personal level for our business to kind of go into some actual knowledge. Before we kick this off, I think we just want to make sure we cover the legal disclaimer. I think that's on the next slide, which is, there's exceptions to everything. Make sure that you actually connect with an expert to see how this stuff actually applies to you.
All right, I'll jump in from here. Miguel, you're not the only one. Many companies are seeing a big decline in their impressions and their search traffic right now. And it is because of AI overviews, as much as 30–40%, and sometimes more than that even. But today, what we're going to cover is how has AI changed search? We're also going to talk about, where do these AI systems get their information now? What can we do to feed information into these systems to make sure that we're still as relevant as we were before, or even more relevant? We're going to spend some time on Google Business Profile, which is more important than ever. It's actually considered what I would call your AI fuel now. And from there, we're going to explore how to optimize for AI while still showing up in maps. We'll walk through some practical steps that you can implement right away. And finally, we'll talk about how to think about future-proofing your visibility and your online presence as the AI continues to grow. All right, so AI is obviously reshaping how customers discover local businesses online and search for information. AI generated summaries now appear at the very top of search results, and many times they're pushing traditional listings farther down in the results. That's the challenge. And we're seeing it across the board for a lot of informational type searches, and a lot of companies are recognizing this. But there's also a huge opportunity here. The fundamentals that have always mattered, like accurate information, reviews, strong online presence, these are all a lot of the things that AI is using to power their results. So if it's done right, smart business owners can adapt quickly and gain an edge, and not only show up in traditional search and maps, but also now in AI overviews. So Google has made this big change, and the introduction is AI overview and search. Let's first just identify what is this AI overview. When you do a search on Google now, you'll often see a box at the top with an instant answer and recommendations. Whereas in the past, Google would give you a list of links of places you could go get that info. Now the change is that they want to try to give you the exact answer you're looking for right when you're searching for it. This is often the first impression that customers now get about a query or an interest that they have, or potentially finding your company. And that impression is controlled by AI. So businesses need to be included in these AI overviews in order to maximize their reach and stay relevant. But remember, AI doesn't replace SEO, it actually amplifies it. So all the work that you put into optimization can be more important in this new world. So AI overviews usually appear for people, and when people are searching for and comparing or asking broad informational type questions. Things like, how do small businesses save on taxes? Or what is the best software for accounting? These used to provide websites or local businesses, and now they're very much focused on giving the answer in the AI overview. So, but the key is they usually don't appear, these AI overviews won't appear for direct searches like CPA near me or emergency room near me. They know that when people are looking for something specific, it doesn't help them to give an informational answer. Instead, they need to give them exactly what they're looking for. And in most cases, you can think about Google as a business itself. Their goal is to give the best information to the user at the time that they're searching. And that's what they qualify or count as successful. And that's what they're constantly working towards, which is why AI overviews are becoming more the norm. So the lesson here is that AI and maps work together. And if we have content in the local side and we can optimize for AI, we can actually come up in both of these places.
Yeah. Not to derail you, Ryan, but it kind of makes sense that if we're writing blog posts that answer simple kind of top of funnel questions, AI is now just killing that, right? Because if someone just wants a simple, like, how do I do X? The summary is going to check that off. We used to rely on that they would go to our blog to do that, but now they're only going to do that if they want to go deeper. If they don't want to go deeper, then it's kind of lost.
It's kind of the mission there from Google is stay on Google, get the basic information. Now they will give you interlinks that you can link through to go read where they got the info, but that's not happening very often because people got the answer that they needed and they wanted right when they searched.
Yeah. So what you're saying in a way is that what we want to optimize for now is the intent. When someone wants to actually connect with a CPA or a tax and accounting firm, no longer when they're just looking for general information.
Correct. That's right.
That's really insightful.
So let's talk about who's leading this AI search. What are these systems that we need to optimize for? Who do we need to be trying to create new information for? So the first and foremost, the biggest one would be ChatGPT. A lot of companies and people have been using this. They were the first one on the scene, and they're excellent at conversational answers and simplifying complex topics. They have over 100 million weekly active users already. It's the fastest growing software or platform that there's really ever been. Google Gemini is the second one, and they're tied directly into Google Knowledge Graph. So This is especially strong for local search because it uses real-time data directly from your Google listing, and every property that Google has can feed directly into this. Then we have Perplexity, which focuses on transparency, showing where information comes from. They're more of an answer engine, and they're trying to build trust in their answers. They have over 10 million monthly active users, and they just started a couple years ago in 2022. Claude is known for deeper reasoning and thoughtful, detailed responses. A lot of times content creation is a little bit better on Claude right now. And that engine is a little bit better for complex problem solving as well. So each of these end up doing a little bit different, and depending on what you're looking for, you might go to a different one. For example, Grok, the next one, it's owned by Twitter or X. And so it has access to bring real-time social signals into its AI. So it knows what people are talking about, news events, tweets, all these different things. So if you're looking for some kind of AI search around what's happening right now or what trends are happening, Grok would be a better option than maybe some of these other ones. And then lastly, we have Copilot, which is built right into all Microsoft tools. So Microsoft is very large. They also own Bing. They have Microsoft Edge, the browser, and all computers come default with Microsoft's products, right? And then you have all the Word, Excel, Outlook, all of these are powered by Copilot. So yet another platform, a little bit different, but one of the big ones as well. So each of these have their own strengths, and they all rely, however, on accurate and trustworthy business information. So our goal and job is to create that trust, that credibility. How can we show them that we're more trustworthy and more reliable? And that's what we'll get into next.
I'll just share. It's really interesting from our firm is that we had a lead come in and say they found us on Grok, which is really interesting because we're not that active on Twitter or X. So it's interesting to get some of the act like doing the right thing without knowing it is confusing as well.
It very much is. Yeah, we get a lot of leads from ChatGPT now, and at first we didn't know why that was happening right at the beginning, and then we started testing more things. So we're constantly experimenting, and that's how we've kind of cultivated this R&D, if you will, to figure out what's working and what's not.
Very cool.
So now we know the landscape of who's out there. Now let's talk about what actual information powers them, to your point, Miguel. The first and foremost is the Google Business Profile. You know, if you think about AI in general, where is it going to go learn about a pizza shop down the road or a tax accountant or a dry cleaner? The best source of information is still Google Business Profile. Having complete information, categories that are correct, and then updating and feeding that on a regular basis is one of the main sources for AI, the main source to start with. These other ones, second, would be customer reviews. AI definitely looks at the volume of reviews that you have, the recency of those reviews, and all the keywords that are actually used in your reviews. So because this is computers that we're talking about, they're able to read each review and know what services they might be talking about. Third would be local citations and directories. These are all the places online where your business information exists. So it could be Yelp, could be other kind of more niche or local directories, city or state directories, industry specific directories, and making sure your informations are accurate across all these really builds a lot of credibility with not only Google but also the AI. So it's kind of a win-win. And then lastly is SEO signals, website optimization, local keywords, and content relevance are also continuing to influence AI's understanding of business expertise. So what we wanted to do here, we went ahead and pulled and asked each of the AI platforms, what information, where do you get your information? And it was interesting, some of the answers. Since this is Zoom, you can do a control plus or minus to zoom in if you want to see more, but we'll have access to this after. But you can see the details here on exactly what specific directories do you use to collect information. So this first one is ChatGPT, and you can see the number one is Google Business Profile, then Yelp, Yellow Pages, Bing Places, Facebook business page, and the list goes on, LinkedIn, TripAdvisor. So they use not just one or a few, but quite a few different directories to find what's the most relevant for the search query. Going on to the next one, here's Perplexity and their platform. They also said Google and Google Maps when we asked directly what search engines and online directories do you use. They use online business directories, similar to what we found from ChatGPT, but they use the business's own website. This one said number 3 was the option for their own website. And there's nothing more trusted as long as you have in-depth information that you can actually, that they can trust. Local news sources, government websites, business databases are still important. So all these different places are still critical, but you see some of them lean more towards the website and some of them lean more towards other third-party sources.
Interesting.
All right, here's Google Gemini. Not a surprise here since it's owned by Google. Google My Business. They even still call it Google My Business, even though it's now been rebranded as Google Business Profile, which I thought was pretty funny when we did this. And then their second tier that they look at for local business information is the business website. They've spent decades creating an algorithm to decide which is the most relevant website based on search, right? So they weren't just going to abandon that. They used that same algorithm to determine which businesses have the most viable and credible information for Google Gemini as well. So, and then they have additional third-party providers and directories as well.
And Ryan, just a quick question. Like when it says business websites, does that mean like all the work that some of us have put into like SEOing our website? Is that kind of fall under that category?
That's 100% what it is. It means that business is your website, all your service pages, your content, what things that you do and what things that you don't do. Google's utilizing that to verify if what they hear on these other places is accurate. And we're going to actually talk about that in one of our advanced tips later on, is making sure that your website matches your Google listing and all the services you say you do. You're right. All right, let's go to the next one. Meta AI. This is another one that's becoming more and more popular. You guys might have heard recently, Mark Zuckerberg spending ridiculous amounts of money to hire a lot of engineers to try to make their AI better. And so this is what they said: online directories, certainly social media would be a little more relevant and for Meta AI, and data partnerships and web crawling. So they all kind of, you can get the feel, they're all using websites, directories, Google Business Profile. So these are the places they're going to look at who's the most legitimate in any market. Okay, and so what does that tell us? That means that one of the biggest misconceptions that AI has out there right now is that it's going to replace the local maps, or it's going to replace all this business information that's online. That's just simply not true. AI systems actually build on top of the map data. They don't replace it. AI overviews often reference businesses that are already ranking in the map pack as well. So they use that map information to determine ranking order. And especially on mobile, people usually will see the AI overview and the map pack at the same time in some searches. So it's becoming on mobile a little bit of both. You'll see Google testing different things, but as they get more familiar or see what's helping people more, they do more of that. And that's why the map pack is very relevant. You immediately get customer or types of business you're looking for. You can see how close you are to them. All of these things are really important for optimizing on AI. Okay, so the bottom line is AI isn't replacing local SEO or all the things that you guys have done on your website. In fact, it's made it more important than ever. And AI actually favors trusted profiles. So businesses that have consistent information, recent reviews, regular updates, and they are clear experts in their area, they actually get a benefit. So if you've invested SEO in the past, those will help you as this transition continues to move forward. Your foundation still matters. That's what this really says. So let's take a look at what happens when we search for a tech CPA near me for this particular query. Still certainly seeing plenty of sponsored results. Thank you, Google, for that. You can see the Google guaranteed, but then it goes right into the business map pack below that. And this is based on relevance, reviews, your website, and all the things that local SEO was already doing, but no AI overview for this type of search. Now, similarly, if we were to go directly to ChatGPT, if you go to the next slide, and we said, I'm looking for a new CPA, who is close to me? This actually, we did this search just yesterday or a couple days ago. And this was the list that it came back for Phoenix, where I'm located. And then we followed up with a question, well, how did you determine to put these CPAs in this order? And so it came back with 4 things: search visibility and relevance to what you were searching for. What is a fit for a growing business? So it prioritized firms that serve business clients, mix of local and regional firms, and then 4 practical ordering for readability. So they actually took into account that as well. So in many of these AIs, they're getting smarter to know what some of your previous searches have been, so they know you a little bit more. So they're going to make recommendations that are closer. But the only way they can do that is to know what types of businesses or what types of clients you serve, what kind of services you offer, so that they can make you as a recommendation when people are asking.
Yeah, what's really interesting, I'll just highlight from that previous slide, is that number 3 is actually a really good distinction between local, regional, and then specialty. So, if you feel like you fall into one of those as a tax account, you really want to make that clear so that when you get ranked, if you are a regional firm, that you're in that regional category. A lot of small businesses just want that small firm feel because they feel more important. So if that's your angle, double down on it, because that's so interesting that AI can actually make those distinctions. I makes sense, but I'm always surprised every time I see something like that.
Yeah, and especially the specialty. As we get into some of the actual recommendations and tips, it's to be as specific as you can about your services. So you're already ahead of the curve, Miguel. That's right.
That's money. We're gonna time mark this point here. Okay.
All right. So what are the ranking factors when it comes to AI summaries? We talked about some of those right now, but the first is to make sure that your category is perfectly accurate with your Google listing. If your profile category doesn't clearly match your services, AI is going to have a hard time understanding what you do. Second would be natural keyword optimization. And this means keywords in your business description. This means on Google Posts. This means in reviews. Basically, anywhere that someone is talking about your business, are they just generally saying, hey, they do accounting, or are we talking about specific types of services that they offer? We mentioned it earlier, but review quality and quantity. AI favors businesses that have a strong number of recent and detailed reviews. That's what we're seeing right now is more details. And then 4th is visual content. You might not think it, but AI and computers are getting smarter at reading photos and understanding what's a stock photo that they see on 50 different websites or listings versus this is actually in your office, and more professional. And then lastly is engagement. So responding to reviews, answering questions, posting regularly, and just basically showing that you are engaged, you're open, you're active. Is nothing worse than going and looking up a social media profile for a business and then you don't see they haven't posted in a couple of years and you just wonder, are they still in business or not? Well, it's the exact same thing that AI is wondering, are you still in business? So if you don't show them that you're active and you're engaged, they're not going to know that you're still there and a contender. So that's key. So really you want to think about your Google business profile as your storefront to the AI world. Your description, your services tell AI what you do and who you serve. Photos and videos give the visual context about your space, your team, your professionalism, and then the engagement side of it. Q&A is actually a really big opportunity for Google Business Profile, you can create questions on your profile, and then you can actually answer those questions. So you don't just have to wait for people to ask a question on your profile. You can actually put questions on it yourself as well. So great place and great way to talk about your services or show engagement. But if your GBP, your Google Business Profile is optimized, then AI has all the information that it needs to be able to recommend you. So let's talk about what we actually need to do, like down to the tactical. First and foremost, you certainly have to have a claim and verified profile. Make sure that you're verified. It is surprising to me how many companies that we talk to that still don't have a verified profile, even if they have hundreds of reviews. The number is somewhere around 35% of business listings still aren't verified. And that can be dangerous because someone can come in and actually verify your listing and take it over and literally take your listing down. So you'll lose a lot of business if that happens. We hate to hear those horror stories. The second would be write a complete business description. Highlight all your services, your specializations, who your target audience is. Do you work with business owners? Do you work with any particular verticals or people in a certain location area? All of that is really good context and a lot of times gets forgotten. The next would be high quality photos, interior, exterior shots, team photos. Update them regularly as well. Sometimes we work with companies that they did it 5 years ago and they haven't put a new photo on in years. It's easy to forget, but that just shows more engagement. And a little known fact is that there's micro data inside of photos. So your latitude and your longitude, Google knows, and these AIs know where that photo was actually taken. So when you use stock photos, they don't get any of that information. So they're more likely to not show you versus something that was in your office or your logo on the wall or any other pieces of information in that microdata really, really helps. Remember, we're talking to computers. We're not talking to people. So we have to say it in a way that the computers and the AI will understand. And then lastly on here, making sure your hours are updated. Do you have seasonal changes? Do you have holiday hours? And then adding secondary categories as well, and then updating those, at least annually, looking to make sure there's no new categories that you could be listed in. So it's a live and breathing thing, not a just do it once and forget about it. That's the biggest optimization that you can think of. Okay, so what happens if your listing is incomplete? Well, just simply put, AI won't be able to find you. They won't be able to recommend you, and they won't understand, most importantly, what you offer and who you are trying to reach. Secondly, your competitors will get recommended instead of you. So AI always chooses the most complete and trustworthy profiles. So you want to make sure that you are that. And then finally, this will lower your local authority. Incomplete profiles just make it look like your business isn't active, which will hurt you across the board, not just in AI, but also in regular search. So they really do feed each other.
I suppose that last point about most businesses, I think you have like 40, or well, I would
little known stat, 100%. If you have an incomplete profile, some recent studies have shown 40% fewer customer interactions. So if you have some of your info, but not 100%, and now they actually give you a full percentage. So it will tell you if you're at 100% complete or not when you go into your profile. But that gap will continue to widen as well as AI systems get increasingly smarter and favoring, complete data sets, if you will. Think about it like that.
And it's probably a huge opportunity in some industries where, the business owner set it up 5 years ago. So, I mean, you can really stand out if you're one of the few, right now at least, if you're one of the few that's got that updated. That's a great point.
Okay, next slide. So let's talk from a tax and accounting perspective. If you're a CPA, make sure that certified public accountant is your primary category, and add secondary categories like tax preparation service, bookkeeping service, or financial consultant if it applies. The more of these that you have selected, the more chances that you have to come up for these different types of searches, because people will do searches for specific keywords. And so just being in one, if you can be in more, it's much better. The seasonal hours, I mentioned them earlier, but do you have extended hours during tax season? In summer, maybe you scale them back, but just talking about these and making sure all that's really accurate. And then we mentioned a little bit earlier, but specific service-specific descriptions. So things like small business taxes or estate planning or multi-state returns. Like just try to think of the specific details of what other ways to describe what you do versus just that general, yeah, this is what we are. We're finding that more and more is helping businesses. So thinking it used to be called long-term or long tail searches, but now it's really trying to just show all the different professionalisms or aspects of the services you provide. And then lastly would be FAQ section, commonly answered questions. Those are showing up in AI summaries much more these days. So definitely don't forget about those. A lot of companies don't want to put what's their price for every product. You don't have to put that, but you can. And products and services is a new section in Google we're going to talk about here in a minute. You can actually custom write almost anything, and there's a large amount of space that you can put in there of all the specifics. You can give it a title and a description of each service that you offer. So just another angle from a tax firm perspective. If you're in this industry, it helps because you have an advantage that a lot of others don't in AI-driven search. And that is particularly that the language that your clients naturally use and that accountants normally use talks about being trustworthy and reliable. You're talking about financial things. That's important. And that actually is what really powers AI, and they want to prioritize that. So being thorough, being transparent, trustworthy, and reliable can give you an edge. Okay, so the misconception we talked about AI without ignoring the maps, it's a reality. AI and maps work together. So AI overviews provide quick summaries and recommendations. On the other side of that is maps provide visual context, direction, reviews, and easy contact information. So you can show up in AI and then the map can actually lead them directly to your business, especially for people that have never found you before and aren't familiar with who your company is. So the most successful businesses are going to optimize for both at the same time. Okay, so as we kind of alluded to, I wanted to talk specifically about the things that are common among search and AI optimization. So consistency across the platforms that builds trust, but managing your reviews, collecting them, responding to them is an area that a lot of businesses fail in. Google doesn't care if it's good or bad. They care that they see that there's engagement. So even replying to a bad or not great review, but certainly replying to good reviews, you want to reply to all of them. That's going to show even more engagement and trustworthiness. And then the common questions, answering those questions, replying with multiple answers you can do as well. That enables just more feedback and more engagement. So each one of these actions can help you climb in not only search, but also in AI as far as responses and results. So here's some examples for some quick wins from a tax and accounting perspective. Posting seasonal content. These are good for ongoing posts. Posts sometimes can create a stumbling block for a lot of businesses because they're like, what do I post about? I do this one type of service, but you can talk about seasonal items very easy, tax deadlines that are coming up, or year-end planning tips. These are all really good things to talk about when you do Google Posts. And you can then duplicate that for social media as well. So it's very similar. You can use the same content in multiple platforms, but specifically getting it on Google because that's where the AIs are pulling more information these days. A lot of times it might get forgot about when you're thinking about social media, but Google Posts are really important. Mentioned the FAQs already. What documents do I need for tax preparation? That's a great question. How much do you charge for business returns? What's the difference between a CPA and regular tax prep? All of these, and you can even use AI to come up with more questions that you could put on your FAQs on your GBP. And then lastly, those highlighting the certifications, prominently displaying those credentials is really going to help you get more visibility. Mentioning certifications in their business descriptions, and continuing to just educate and target all the specializations in detail. That's even more important now.
Really good point.
All right, a couple of things on the advanced optimizations. These are what a lot of our clients are seeing more success with these days. And the first one is Google Business Profile. Once you've nailed the basics, you need to move over to some advanced strategies using the products and services section that Google Business Profile opened up. They released this a few years ago, 2.5 years or so. And this is really underutilized by most companies. The people that are really dominating are using this. So you can go in now, and if you're a plumber, you can put 30 services that you do and a description for each one of those services. Similarly, if you're in financial, you can put a different one, and it's not a self-selected menu. You can write whatever you like. So detailing more examples here would be like tax prep for small businesses. You can add in additional adjectives, not just tax prep. And that really helps. Help with IRS audits or planning. These all are more specific and help. And then linking to specific pages on your website. So when you think about an advanced topic, a lot of times Google is going to have all these business services and products, but they're going to go to your website to verify that you actually do those services and you didn't just go sit down in 20 minutes and write out a whole bunch of services. They want to validate that you actually do those services. So the kind of icing on the cake would be to make sure that your business website has pages for those services and matches everything you're telling Google on your Google listing. These are the 15 things I do. But if you only have 3 of them listed on your website, not that credible. You want to have all those 15, whether they're separate pages or sections on the page. We usually recommend a separate page for each main service you do. But these work back and forth. So this tells the AI, not only do you say you do it, but you're validating that you do it because you're showing it and all the details around it on your website. So this is a big one. And to your point earlier, Miguel, you said going deeper in content. If they do like what an AI overview has or want to know more info, that's where Google wants to see more time spent on your site. And then now they know the deep content is more on your site, whereas general will be what the AI overviews are covering.
Point.
I did want to touch on a little bit on website optimization as well for AI. This is an area that a lot of people are missing the boat on. But your website is just as important as your Google Business Profile when it comes to AI understanding your business. Crawlers are what read websites. It's not people. And the biggest recommendation I can make is to add schema, what's also called structured data, to your website. This is super easy for AI to read, and it is the first thing that they look for on a website. Not only can you put it on your homepage, but you can put it on your service pages as well. So it tells the AI, this is a local business, this is a service that you offer, and it is the fastest way to get listed in AI results these days. So they call it schema markup. There's some tools out there that you can use to see if your website has schema markup in it. And if not, it's pretty easy to add. So that's first and foremost. Plain language tells exactly to AI. You're speaking their language, if you will. Secondly would be high quality content, creating pages that go deep into your services and show your expertise. And then third is organizing your site in an easy way. So clear navigation, internal links, making sure that from the home page you can get to all your service pages and the important pages. Just make it easy for AI and for people to move around your website, and you'll get a win-win. It'll serve your customers that are actually reading it, and it'll serve the AI and the bots that want to know what you're actually doing. And then lastly, but definitely not one of the most important, not the least important, is mobile first experience. We all have cell phones now. We all have iPhones, and this has been the case for a while, but you'd be surprised how often websites do not even consider mobile and the performance around it. How fast does your site load? Does it look really nice when it comes up on mobile? Because a lot of cases, that's the first impression that people will have of your business. So those are the best tips for website. So moving on, AI isn't a fad. It's not temporary. It's definitely here to stay. And so with that being the case, this is a fundamental shift in how people find and evaluate businesses. But the good news is that AI builds on some of the same foundations that we've already used. So if you've done a good job with your listing, your website, that's actually giving you a really good foundation to now then add on to that what AI wants to see. And the Google local business data is the core of where search engines and AI go to get accurate information. So that work that you put in, it's not a waste. It didn't just disappear. And that will help you continue to stay ahead of the curve. Okay, so as an ongoing strategy, how do we continue to show the computers, if you will, how to stay relevant? Well, you want to not think about it as a set it and forget it. We want an ongoing strategy, regular content updates, customer interactions, whether it's reviews, Q&As, posts, and then monitoring your performance. So tracking what insights are happening, what interactions are happening. Google shows all this data in the back end to see what kind of actions that you're getting, and then making sure your information's updated and accurate, and regularly updating videos and photos to showcase your business evolution as you grow, as you change, what new things are happening with the business. That's the best strategy for showing engagement. And lastly, a couple more tactical, like things that you can do right now. I would sum that up into three things. First, do an audit of your Google business profile. Check all the things that we talked about today and make sure that 100% of the fields are filled out. Verify that anything that is there is relevant. The other thing that we find frequently is that people accidentally upload photos to the wrong Google business profiles. So you'll have just random pictures showing up. You can go in there and tell Google, this isn't part of my business, remove this. And they do a decent job, I would say, of reviewing those requests every once in a while, or regularly, I should say, and you'll get those removed. It might take a week or two, but you can get them to do that. A couple hours, very big impact. Next would be to create your first post on Google. Put a keyword-rich GBP post, right? Address a customer question with relevant keywords, or anything that's going on that's top of mind for you as a business that you could share out there. It doesn't take a lot of time. You can do it in 30 or 45 minutes, and it will really enhance your local relevance and your signals to both AI and to search and to maps. And then lastly, and this is the fun one, is to test your AI visibility on these AI platforms. If you've never gone on to ChatGPT, start just asking it questions. It gets to know you pretty quick. It asks a lot of follow-up questions. And then try it out on Perplexity or Google Gemini. You can go get accounts at these ones and test what they're saying, what they're doing. Ask them if they know who your business is. Ask them from your office where you're located, hey, can you tell me a few CPAs that would be good recommendations, and then see if you come up. And if you don't, take a screenshot of that, save it, and then as you make updates, let's see if we can get you showing up in those AI search results, right? So that only takes about 45 minutes. But if you can knock these three things out this week, you have a good understanding of what it is that's going to be necessary for the future of AI.
Great tips anybody could do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right,
So
that's
let's
been
open it
very,
up for some questions.
yeah, that's been very helpful, and we've been collecting some questions here as we go. And by the way, if you're listening, feel free to post in any questions right now, and we'll get to them. But let me pull up a few here. So, you gave us a few options on the Google business profile. Would you say one is more important than the other? I think the list we have is like photos, business description, reviews, services offered, or categories. Can you kind of tell us, like, if there were like one or two that are the most important that, I've got 20 minutes, I'm going to do it right now. What would it be?
If you got 20 minutes only, first thing you want to make sure is you're in the right category. That's number one. First, be put in the right, if you're in a library and you're a book, if you're not in the right category, just forget it. Like that's first foremost, get your right category. Then I would say description, but I would say do all of them. They're all pretty important, but start with the category.
Yeah, awesome. And if there are, if you need to choose one or two AI search tools to focus on, which one would that be?
So, good question. I would recommend starting with ChatGPT.
Okay.
They are the first on the scene. They have the most users right now, and they are updating regularly. What's nice is you can use the mobile app. They have an app. You can download it on your phone, and you can just search anytime, anywhere for anything that pops in your head. So that's the fastest way to get used to how to use it. A lot of people think you have to sit down at a computer and put it. No, you can do it right on your phone. Mobile app, very helpful.
I think that's right. And we did validate for our niche. We Googled like best tax advisor for Airbnbs. And we have a website that's dedicated to that. The
Mhm.
one that used to rank really high. And it did come up. It was option like number three, but it still came up. So it's a good way to test to see if we're on there. And we had a similar related question here that like, is there a way that I can check maybe this question was specifically about Google Analytics. Like, is there a way I can check to see if I'm getting crawled by, ChatGPT or other ones, or do I just have to go into ChatGPT and kind of test it out?
That's a great question. The SEO tools are catching up to this trend. Ahrefs is one that is now showing how prominent you are in all the different AIs. So you're starting to see these tools come out where you can put in a keyword in an area and it will tell you how relevant you are and how much you're showing up. So be on the lookout. I know Ahrefs is one of them that we're using with a lot of our clients now in addition to live searches. But there are a few out there, and it's a lot of people are in the process of developing those, so they will be coming shortly. There are some that are already out there.
Oh, that was a great rec. And then I had one as you were talking about creating posts on the Google business profile. I didn't even know you could do that. Um, how might you be able to take a existing blog post and repurpose it, or should we not be doing that? Should we have completely brand new and organic material that we put on GBP?
That's a good one. You have quite a bit of space to write. It's not quite as much as an entire web page, but taking a blog post and summarizing it and being a little bit more concise is a good way to get content because you've already created it. You're validating to Google that, yes, you have that. But the post is going to be a little bit more like an update
Yeah,
and like, here's news, here's what's happening. A little less of it's going to be there for 5 years. So it's okay to take some of your blog posts and repurpose them and adjust them. You could use AI to
yeah, I
actually
was thinking that.
create a smaller version of it, which is funny. You're using AI to create a similar simple version that then it will actually be able to read in the future. So yeah, you can definitely do that. And it is right. You're right. A lot of people don't realize. So you'll see pretty quickly when you look up a Google business profile, they have zero posts or they have, you know, them regularly.
Oh, that's interesting. And yeah, I was going to ask, like, if we use AI to rank for AI, is that like, do you foresee any kind of like dings? I mean, how important is it that we use our natural voice and organic voice versus copying and pasting from like ChatGPT, which gives us like rocket ship emojis and things like that?
Well, side note on emojis, it's very effective in posts. So if you have places where
Okay.
it's good, it's recommended to use some. Some people go a little bit too far with it, but some emojis show more engagement. So interesting. But to your point, this was a big thing we were concerned with and looking at is Google going to ding you for AI content? I would not recommend writing AI content and just pasting it on your website. You can use it as a draft and then go in and change it to your voice and style. Update 30% of it. There are tools that can check whether or not it's AI written or not. Surfer SEO is a good tool that we've used in the past to check if something's fully AI written or not. But this is really interesting as well, is that in Google's support material, they specifically say that their goal is to get the best content to the user that's searching for it, which
Mhm.
they do not talk about AI, yes or no. They do not care if it's AI generated. They only care if it's the best content for the person that's searching for it. So you can
Mm.
use AI to generate content. You just want to really take the time to customize it and build it into your voice, your brand, and I would recommend changing at least 25% of it. Change it around, adjust it, give your own examples of real life, what you've done with different clients, and then it makes it much better. But if you
Awesome.
just always go with the goal of what's going to be the best for the reader that's looking for this, then you're going to be in the right place.
Yeah, and I've realized that like ChatGPT is really good about reading the internet, um, which is interesting. Like in our field, a lot of what is written about tax is actually not by tax professionals. It's sometimes like these finance bros or crypto bros who are just, cranking out things of what they think about, tax, and it's often wrong or misguided, or maybe the conclusions, not properly sourced. It's funny sometimes if you go deep back and forth with ChatGPT, it becomes a little misguided itself. So I think also just word of warning. I mean, the best content is going to be the most accurate, and what we kind of see is that we're actually researching a little more than just posting kind of an opinion post. I mean, are you seeing any trends? I know you work with a lot of small businesses where to write that research, sorry, to write that expert content, um, maybe even leaning on AI, you want to be able to kind of be a little more, um, I don't know if the answer, if I'm getting that like specific or more insightful, but these aren't just kind of opinion pieces that we're talking about, or is it? Is it just getting out there and putting a lot of content, or is it about, you know, properly kind of doing your homework and putting out something really, really deep?
I would very much recommend the second there.
Mhm.
The days of quantity over quality are over. It's no
Okay.
longer about quantity. You could get results with that in the past, and we're even seeing some websites remove content and get focused on their main services and get way better results. Sometimes hundreds of percent increases by actually focusing on the thing that they do best and showing that they're the expert in this area, but not trying to boil the ocean and cover every tax topic or everything in your entire industry. So that's an interesting change that has been really hard for a lot of people to think about, because you used to think, I got 1,000 blog posts. This is awesome. But are they actually delivering quality? Is anybody even going to those pages? Check your analytics to see if people are actually going to those pages, and then consider focusing more on the quality. There are also, you know, when you talk about an LLM or you talk about some of these agents that companies are talking about, you can do your research first. The best ones these days are doing the research first in like a research GPT, if you will. You can find that on Chat GPT. Then
Mhm.
taking that content over to a actual writing bot or agent. So you can think about it in a multiple step if you want to do even deeper content. First is the research phase, then actually a separate one that's better at writing the content, and then even a QA that could QA, are there any hallucinations in that or not, and then your final version. So what we're going to see in the future is more multi-step processes using AI, where
Mhm.
each agent is really focused on that one thing in the process. um,
Super interesting. So
yeah.
even as a strategy that you just shared, it sounds like it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe look at those 1,000 blog posts, pick out your top 20, and find a way to combine those into one really good comprehensive piece. You're hesitating.
Yeah, I'm hesitating because I would say the best strategy there would be to take those 20 and refresh them, make
Okay.
them current for 2025 if you wrote them a couple of years ago, and you'll see that regularly. If you look at a blog post that's getting good results, they could just update a few things, change the title to 22, then change it again to 23, then 2024, right? So you have this great piece of content that's answering a lot of questions, and then refresh that, because then that will get picked up really quick. it's already recognized and being shown as valid by Google and AI. So now let's just make it even better. And now it's even more relevant and recent. So it becomes better.
So let me ask you a selfish question then about specifically about this. So if we have something that's like tax updates for 2022, rather than keep that, because in my head I'm like,
uh,
okay, the more is better. Updating that for 2025 is what you would do.
so in most industries, it's not a year-based piece of content. I would want to do a little more research for finance and for tax because in that case, the rules were the rules in 22 and they've changed for other years. So I might have to walk back what I said if it comes to like how do I get the most health or nutrition or plumbing doesn't change year to year. But if
Yeah.
taxes and your thing changes year to year, I'd want to evaluate those individually and see how many people are searching for that year. Maybe they're
Ah,
doing
I
a
see.
re filing of their taxes for that year and
Yep.
they still want that content. So I would caveat that. You're right.
Ah, the nuance. The nuance
The
exists.
nuance, you called it out. Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
we're an industry of it depends. So I actually love that answer, Ryan. Let's see what else we have. We have okay, how do reviews factor into a let's talk about reviews. Yeah, how do reviews factor? You've talked about it a little bit. How do you think about reviews these days?
Reviews are more important than ever. It used to be just something where, like, it's great to show a few people, but now they are they're not as important in Google Maps ranking. But once you are ranking, they're very important for your conversion rate.
Hmm.
If you're looking at two companies in the map pack, one has 150 reviews and one has 8. Who are you going to go with? Probably the company with 150 reviews. So they're super important for visibility on the map side and search side. And now we're learning that AI is reading them as well. So I would double down on reviews and set up a system. In most cases, a system is the best way to do it. We find that you can get about a 15% return on your review requests that you send out if you do it by text. So if you send out 10, you can get about 1.5 reviews off of that. If you send out 100, you get 15 reviews. If you send them via email, the review requests, it's about a 10% conversion to get a review. But the key there is you have to send out a pretty decent amount and it can take a lot of time. So partnering up with a tool, we have something called Review IQ where we connect to your system and we can actually send them regularly. In your industry, probably make an automation that would send it a week or two after you've done some work for a client or done a special deal. But you have to ask for them and then they will come. And imagine getting 10, 15 new reviews a month. It's harder when you have less client list. So that is a little bit more difficult. But then you want to just kind of incentivize and encourage people to leave a little bit longer, more detailed review. So
That was really insightful. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. And I want to just kind of wrap. We have some other questions, but I think I kind of want to wrap. And for those watching that want to go deeper, want to learn more about BizIQ, how can they learn more and connect with you guys?
appreciate that. We have a QR code here you can scan to get a free consultation. We have an entire team that just works on Google Business Profiles. So we've seen everything from random surprise suspensions to people stealing other people's listings. We have ways and different things that we can help with a lot of those things. But scanning here, or you can just go to biziq.com/contact us and reach out and we can see what we can do to help. In many cases, we can do a free audit, evaluate what you're doing and make some recommendations. Some of them you can do yourself, or you may want to partner with a company like us that can just kind of take this off your plate.
There you go. Doesn't hurt to get an opinion. That's what I always say. And Ryan, my last question for you as we wrap is what AI application or tool are you most excited about? It doesn't even have to be about work. It can be in any way.
Wow. I would say that recently we're having a lot of success with projects inside of ChatGPT. So if you pay for the $20 a month for the upgraded version, you can start a project in ChatGPT, which then will allow you to upload files. So let's say you want to construct better emails in your own voice, you can upload 20 or 30 of your own emails of how you write them. And then it can reference all that information when it writes the next response or the next SOP or the next ebook, whatever you want to create. So if you give it, you can actually have it referencing all these files, and then it gets really good at making you creating your voice. And so that's really cool. And then a second one, if we have a second, would be to create your own persona, I guess, is actually ask it to ask you questions about what your preferences are, what you like, what you don't like, and then you can actually upload a whole profile about yourself so it knows way more about you. And I'm talking about it in a work sense. Like, what type of clients do you like to work with? What area do you serve? All this information, and then it will actually have that to start with every time you're working with it. And so that's like having a person on your team that you actually put through 2 weeks of training, and now they're closer to really understanding your brand and who you are and what you're looking for its help with.
That's amazing. I'm going to
So
use that. I'm going to feed it my favorite clients, my ICPs. Ryan, you're one of them. And I'm going to say, where can I find more Ryans? Fantastic, Ryan. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know I've personally gotten a lot out of this, and we expect the community of folks that are going to get a sense of your knowledge have a lot to benefit. And we'll make sure that there's a way that they can connect with BizIQ after getting some of these nuggets. So thanks again for your time, Ryan. It's been an absolute pleasure.
thank you, Miguel. I've enjoyed it.
All right. Take
Have a good
care.
day.
Thanks, everyone.